Hello, and thank you for coming to the McWaters Effect. I'm your host, Matt. Today we're going to be talking about Jimmy Carter and his sighting of a UFO. But first, I need you to hit like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Now let's get on with the show. Now, first thing I want to say about this sighting is Carter's not a very good eyewitness, and the reason is because his story has changed over the years, and it's not consistent. So I got a video of him talking about it. He went on Larry King, talked about it, and I also have written statement what he saw as well. And I'll let y'all think what y'all think about it. Now, first we're going to look at a video of him having an interview with Larry King. But one thing about the report he did the report in 1973, which was 4 years after he had an initial sighting. See, the problem with that is a lot of details can change over time in your mind of what you saw.
Tell me about the time you once saw a UFO.
Well, I was a district governor of 56 Lions clubs in southwest Georgia, and I had to visit all the Lions clubs and make a speech. And I was outside a school lunchroom one night, right before sundown. It was getting dark, and we were getting ready to eat supper. And I and about 25 men were standing around, and all of a sudden, in the western sky, we saw a strange light coming toward us, a round light. And it got closer and closer, and right above the pine trees, it stopped. And then it began to change colors from blue to red to white. And then it stayed there for a while. We were all aghast. We didn't know what it was. And then it just disappeared into the west. That was the end of it. So it was a genuine UFO in that it was an unidentified flying object, but I have never thought and still don't think that it's possible for, creatures from Mars to come here and visit us and go back home.
As the account of the sighting, he decided to put on Larry King at that time. Now, obviously, this is about 30 or 40 years after the sighting, so his recollection is probably not as good. So we're going to go over what he saw, and he told investigators. During the presidential campaign in 1976, Democrat challenger Carter was forthcoming about his belief in having seen a UFO. He described waiting outside of the Lions Club meeting in Leary, Georgia, to begin at about 7:30 p.m. when he spotted what he would call the darndest thing I've ever seen in the sky. Carter, as well as 10 or 12 other people who witnessed the same event, described the objects as very bright, which changed colors, and about the size of the moon. Carter reported that this object hovered about 30 degrees above the horizon, moved in towards the Earth and away before disappearing into a distance. He later told reporters that after the experience, he vowed never again to ridicule anyone who claimed to have seen a UFO. Now, as you heard and you could see in the writing, that the accounts are a little bit different, especially when it comes to the amount of other witnesses that were there. By his account, by his memory, about 30, 40 years later, he said there's 25 people. And by the writing, the report he wrote, there's only 10 to 12 people. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. Does that mean a whole lot? No. I think it's important to be consistent, especially when you're being interviewed, and be consistent with what you've said in the past. But, of course, it's 30 or 40 years later. So his memory and recollection of what happened in the events and also what he wrote down in the event probably doesn't remember. It's probably just an honest mistake. Now, there are some investigators that actually had a theory. Some investigators thought Carter had seen Venus, which was in near maximum brightness and rising in part of the evening sky. But Carter countered that as an amateur astronomer, he knew what Venus looked like. Okay, pretty much what he told the investigator is, I'm not an idiot. I know the difference between a star and something I can't explain, like a ship, and how it was maneuvering. Now, during the 1976 presidential campaign, Carter pledged that if he was elected, he would encourage the government to make public every piece of information about UFOs once he was in office. But some stuff he said couldn't be released due to national security implications. In my opinion, I'd say he kept that promise, because in 1979, they actually released a lot of documentation when it came to Project Blue Book and the sightings that they couldn't explain. Now, a lot of it was redacted too, but they released what they could by Jimmy Carter's standards. I think the most interesting thing about this case is the witnesses that were there with Jimmy Carter, none of them filed reports about seeing a UFO. As a matter of fact, 3 or 4 of them have been interviewed afterwards and said they didn't see anything in the sky. Now, there's a couple reasons that might be the case. Either there wasn't, or they feel like they didn't want to be shunned out of society, they didn't want to be made fun of or ridiculed by people, so they decided not to say anything. Now, guys, I'll be honest. I don't know which one it is. I don't know if he saw something. I don't know if he did see something. He still claims to this day he saw something that night. And I have a hard time not believing someone that's going to claim something for 40 or 50 years. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He did see something. Now, was it a UFO? Don't know. Could have been something that could be easily explained. Maybe so, but we don't know. Well, this is the end of this episode. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Peace.